How's my volume? Am I good, Chris? All right, cool. So I just want to assure you, I didn't bring this to show it off. I'm actually going to give it to the university. I've had it in my possession for 15 years, and I think it's time that, I share it with the school. So, I didn't carry this thing all this way just to be like, hey, look at my stuff, all right? So Coach gave me a great introduction. Thanks, Coach. Just a little bit about me, and tell you what, I'm excited for you guys. Like, my football playing days here were honestly the best days of my life. I think you get to play one of the greatest games ever created, and don't take that for granted. All right. A little bit more about myself. So Coach mentioned I'm a physician. I actually live in Dayton, Ohio. I'm from Akron, Ohio. The home of LeBron James and Brandon Roberts. I am a practicing pediatric anesthesiologist, and I actually serve as the director of operations. I was actually just promoted recently. I serve as the director of compliance for our department, and I'm in charge of education for our residents and our student nurse anesthetists. So things have been going well. As Coach mentioned, I attended school back here from 99 to 02. So actually today I turned 36, so I'm getting up there. So my last season was back in 02. And I just remember when I wasn't heavily recruited. I am definitely an underdog story. So as Coach mentioned, I played guard in DN in high school, and we had a good team. And I ended up being like honorable mention all state, but like no one really recruited me. I was 5'9", 195 when I graduated. And when I finished here, I'm 5'10", 5'10 and a half, 245. So I put on some weight, I worked out. But coming into college, I was a little guy. And no one wanted me. Coach saw the potential in me and moved me from D-line, O-line to middle linebacker, and things just took off. I remember when I came for camp, and there were two upperclassmen that picked me up from the airport. And I remember one was a guy named JT. I can't remember JT's last name. And then another was a guy named Craig Brockington. But these guys were, 250 plus. And here I am, again, a little guy, and I'm a little overwhelmed. And I was like, what did I just get into? But if you know me, I don't back down from a challenge. So I was like, okay, like these guys look a little physically intimidating, but let's bring it. And so when we started camp, I was like the fifth string stud linebacker. I was in the back of the line getting reps, and I just kept grinding. And at the end of the year, I was actually the second team Mike linebacker, played on every special team as a freshman outside of PAT, and I was like tired after games because I was actually on the field. And even as a second string Mike linebacker, I actually played a decent amount. They actually let me get a couple reps here and there. So, it was amazing just the way, I came in as an underdog. And then by the time I finished my senior year, I get nominated for this award. I end up winning the award, had no clue. Honestly, even when I was at the event in New York back in 02, no one from a non-Division I school had ever won the award. The award had been won by guys like Peyton Manning. So I'm thinking, I'm not about to win this thing. And they called me, and they were like, come up, get your award, and say a speech. And so I'm like, oh, man. So luckily, I'm always somewhat prepared to give a little talk. So I said a little something. And, just what a blessing, just coming here and just the journey has been. But I just want to tell you a little bit about what the game taught me as far as lessons for life. Because I think there's so much that you can extrapolate from the game of football to life. I'm going to share those things and I get you guys on your way so you can watch game day or get a nap. I used to get a nap after this thing. So let's do that real quick. So what football taught me that I should only focus on changing the things that I can control. Okay? I think in life it's important to note to not get worried about things that you have no control over. However, at the same time, there are things that we all have control over, okay? And really, these few things I'm about to mention, they don't even require any talent, okay? No special gifts. And these are the things I'm talking about. All these things require is a little want to, okay? And what are those things, Roberts? Being on time, your effort or work ethic, your energy, your passion, your attitude, your body language, being coachable / teachable, doing extra, and being prepared. I want you guys to always remember that proper preparation prevents poor performance. And honestly, that's been like the motto to my life. I honestly don't even consider myself to be like super intelligent, but I've always grinded. I've always worked hard, and I've always was prepared. You know, even when I was playing football here, you know, you guys know being a scholar athlete is tough. You know, people right now studying, you guys are here listening to me, you know. And occasionally I would go from a game to the library if I had a test on Monday, like right after the game, just grinding. But sometimes that's what it takes, you know, to get to where you want to go. The same applies to the football field, though. It's important that you focus on your job. You focus on executing your task. You focus on winning your battle. And really, at the end of the day, if more of us in this room win our individual battles more often than they win theirs today, you know, the chances of us winning will be really high, okay? So you win your battle, and don't worry about the stuff you have no control over. What else did football teach me? Football really taught me to be a thermostat and not a thermometer. So what does that mean? You guys might have read that somewhere or heard it. But to me, what that means, you know, a thermometer. A thermometer is something that just measures the environment, right? It's passive. It doesn't really do much, as opposed to a thermostat. A thermostat, what does that do? It sets the atmosphere, okay? It changes air currents. It actually do something, okay? And I never wanted to be a passive guy. I always wanted to walk in the room and make a difference, be on the job and make a difference, be on the football team and make a difference, be on the field and make a difference, be on the practice field and make a difference. So even if you're the third string mic, you might not see a lick of time today, but come Monday or Tuesday, make a difference on the practice field, okay? And no matter what you do, focus on being a thermostat and not a thermometer, and that will carry you a long way in life. And it's crazy because I feel like I had the same approach in football. I remember, I wanted the other team to have the game plan for me, frankly. I wanted them to talk about me in meetings. And, you know, I remember as a senior, or it might have been my junior year, we were playing Illinois Wesleyan, and we're warming up, we're doing our half field, high knees, knee to butt kick, stuff like that. And I remember the coaches from Illinois Wesleyan, they were just like staring at me. And I was like, okay, what's this all about? And I remember as I got close to one of them, as I finished my run, I heard one of the guys say, oh, he doesn't look like much to me. Oh, you talk about a fire being lit? Oh my goodness, I think that game I had like 20 tackles, went crazy on them. And I say all that to say, it's like whatever you feel like you need to do to motivate yourself, find it. Like if it's that person that doubted you, if that cousin that says you couldn't do it, whatever it is, like find motivation in the little things and go from there. What else did the game teach me? It taught me really how to respond to adversity. And I think football and life, they actually have a way of throwing its share of challenges at you. I've learned that when things aren't going well, it's important to make adjustments and not excuses. I'm gonna say that one more time. When things aren't going well, make adjustments and not excuses. So that's gonna happen all the time. And I don't wanna get too deep here on this Saturday morning, but I think a lot of people, when they see that you've had success, they don't know what you're going through in order to get that success. So case in point, I met my wife here in college. We ended up getting married when I was in medical school, my senior year in med school. A year after I got married to her, I was an intern here at WashU in the anesthesia department. My wife was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, again, gut punch. And it's real easy to be sorry for yourself. It's real easy to want to quit, but that's not really in my DNA, and I don't want to ever be in yours either. Then after that's going to be a chronic issue that we'll have to deal with, but we're dealing with it together. And then after we got pregnant for the first time, we learned that our child had some congenital issues that weren't compatible with life. And so we weren't the kind to terminate a pregnancy, so we actually carried the pregnancy. We had our first child, and she lived a few minutes, and she went on to go to heaven. But I say all that to say it's real easy to be sad for yourself. It's real easy to run and quit. It's real easy, to want to just stop. But honestly, the world doesn't stop. Bills still have to get paid. House notes have to get paid. And I had to learn to pick myself up. And I say all that to say the same thing happens on the football field. Adversity is going to happen. Someone's going to have on the defense a long drive on you, just gashing you. Again, make adjustments, not excuses. All right? Offense, running back, you might fumble, lead to a score for the other team. Again, make adjustments, not excuses. Keep pushing. Don't let stuff keep you down, all right? Coach used to always tell us when we were football players here to keep a positive mental attitude. And I totally believe in that. I've always had that. Like, life is going to happen, but don't let it get you down, all right? Keep pushing, keep grinding. And then the last thing I want to share with you guys before I leave you this morning. Football really taught me to have no regrets. Really, if you live your life and play football in a way that if it were to all end tomorrow, you'd have no regrets regarding how you live or how you played, I think you'll be in a great position. And I feel like I've lived life, I played football in that very manner. You should always study hard and play harder and just have fun. And to tell you the truth, I feel like if I died tomorrow, like I drove here from Dayton, it's about a 5.5, 6 hour drive. Literally, if I were to die tomorrow, I would be I would be happy with what happened to my life thus far. I feel like I lived a full life. I was able to travel. I loved hard. Again, I played hard. I worked hard. But I didn't leave anything to chance. My family would be in a great position, you know, from my kids. And I feel like the same thing was the case when I played football. I'm leaving you with this one final story. So I ended up tearing my ACL my senior year. So the 6th game before we even got to conference play. And so we were playing Trinity, actually. They have a really good program. They're playing here. And they ended up beating us pretty good that year. But on the play before I got injured, we were doing some kind of blitz. Again, I'm a Mike Linebacker. I went on the blitz to the opposite direction. They ran the play to the opposite side and gashed us. And they almost scored. But I remember on that play, I was really out of position because of the blitz. But I ended up running the guy down and like tackled him like on the 2-yard line. And then the next play, they did a run play. I was just simply engaged with the offensive lineman. I was really fatigued because I had run a lot of yards to tackle this guy. And honestly, for a second, I was thinking about asking to come off the field because I was really, really fatigued. But I stayed in the game. I was engaged with the old lineman, and I tore my ACL and tore some cartilage in my knee. And so end the career, end the football for Roberts. But it's funny because out of all the plays that I've ever had from age 7 to when I finished playing football, that last play, that's the play that sticks out most, frankly. It's the effort, or at least the play before I got injured. The effort that I gave before the play where I got injured. Like, I went hard. I gave it my all. I didn't leave anything to chance. And I feel like you should do that too. Because, again, if it were to end today or tomorrow, you know, you should be happy with your efforts. In conclusion, I want you guys just to stay humble, yet stay hungry. And really give them hell today. Go out there, have fun, play ball. I'll be out there checking you guys out, so let's do it. On that note, again, I mentioned I've had this thing at home for 15 years now. I was telling your athletic director, Anthony, Coach K, you know, I'm around Columbus, not far from Columbus. I have some friends that played at Ohio State, and I was at their facility. And when you walk in, you'll see like all kinds of trophies, BCS championships, Heisman's. Ohio State has a couple guys that won this award. You'll see them all just out. And I was like, man, my thing is just like sitting in my basement, like next to my pool table. I was like, that's no good. And so I called Coach, I think last year for the first time, and was like, hey, I think this would serve the Washington University community much better than it's serving me, frankly. It's great at home. People come by, we'll play pool, you know, talk a little stuff, have a conversation about it, but that's pretty much it. But I think it's better served here. So Coach K, Anthony, you guys want to come get this thing? I was telling them they changed the name from the Draddy Award to the Campbell Award, and I didn't have the heart to take off the Draddy Award and put on the Campbell trophy in the front, so I just put it on the back. So it's yours now. Feel free to do with it whatever you please. But love you guys. If I can help anyone as you guys progress throughout your career, Coach K, I have my same number from college. Haven't changed it in 15 years. All right, feel free to call me. All right? Bless you guys.
Love you, man.
Love you too, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool. Cool, cool.